So, good morning, everybody. We have decided to send this invitation for a second presentation of the collaboration we have with Cresco Cybersecurity. As you know, Novias has quite an experience in managing several solutions in cybersecurity, mainly our Kaspersky platform or console, Trustwave, Mail Marshal, and of course WatchGuard firewalls. This being said, we don't have the expertise to go to the pen testing and security audits, and often we have to answer or to lead the questions to another partner, which means we don't have the control anymore on the chain. So we decided to discuss with a partner, to find a partner with a local experience. We discussed with several and choose Cresco because they have a good experience, a very good experience. They are known on the market for their pen test, hacking, audit of security audits. Of course, when I say they are known, people who have undergone an attack know them, some of them, because those names are often kept secret, or they don't make a lot of noise on the attack. So we chose Cresco because for those reasons they can do the analysis in French, Dutch, and the reports are in English. And I will leave the word now to Youssef, who can do the presentation of the activities, the different services, and the activities, of Cresco. Youssef, I'll leave it to you.
John, thank you very much for the great introduction. So, good morning, everyone. I'm Youssef Bey, the co-founder at Cresco Cybersecurity. Myself passionate about ethical hacking and cybersecurity, of course. Just to give you an idea about Cresco, we are experts in pen testing. It's mostly the only thing we do. It's our core business. Our core strength is that we are all ethical hackers. So the aim is to be a reference in ethical hacking and in pen testing in the EU landscape. Sorry. Why has pen testing become so important? We know that today the threat of cyber attacks is expanding at very fast pace. We live in a more and more interconnected world. Data is becoming, or is, the new gold. We hear every day companies getting hacked. The last ones, like the Belgian government, Basics, the construction company, and even bigger ones like Facebook and so on, are also under attack, let's say. In the last 5 years, there has been tremendous increase in attacks. These are figures of last year. Now with COVID, it's even going faster. So 400% of attacks in the last 5 years in increase, which accounts for almost 1 million breaches daily. So 7 out of 10 companies are reporting breaches, and 60% in Belgium. So a breach or a cyber attack costs a lot. The median cost is 60,000 euros. And on average, including, of course, the bigger companies, it accounts for 441,000 euros in average when a company gets breached, which is, of course, huge. That's why, together with Nuvias, we want to contribute to increase the overall cybersecurity maturity level in Benelux in general, and make its IT landscape a safer place. How we want to do that? We want to create new habits. Cybersecurity has to be something, a routine, something that everyone is occupied with, let's say, and this to ensure, of course, the long-term growth of their companies and the ecosystem in general. We developed a 360 approach to cybersecurity, in which the assess part is the most important one. We're pen testers, so everything is done with ethical hacking in our minds. So we start off in general with the assess part, where we conduct external pen tests, internal pen tests, and social engineering to get to audit let's say to audit the IT infrastructure of our customers. Once we do that, we will set up countermeasures or help let's say the IT managers to set up to reconfigure their IT systems to have to go to a higher level in maturity. Let's say 8 out of 10 cyber attacks are initiated by human error, which is a lot, which is crazy. So educating is very important. All our awareness trainings are given by ethical hackers because they know how hackers think. Some of them were a bit gray side before, and they give a lot of real life stories, and really that's really going to help you to arm against these fatal attacks. And furthermore, we also give ethical hacking training to IT to be also able to see vulnerabilities and to discover vulnerabilities inside of the organization. And monitoring, of course, cybersecurity is continuous. We remain at disposal of our customers as a point of expertise, but also in case of emergency, we make sure to be with our customers to be able to save as much as data as possible, let's say. So the most important part, pen testing, we do online pen tests, or external pen tests, which focus on the whole online infrastructure of the customer, including servers, applications, web apps. Afterwards, we do local pen tests. I will explain this with an example. It's on the local network, so we really go to the customer and try to get in on the guest. We try to see how far we get by, for example, connecting to the guest Wi-Fi, or by cracking the Wi-Fi and seeing what all the vulnerabilities are on the local network. Furthermore, to have a more macro view, let's say, we do also maturity and hack value assessments and business continuity assessments. There we will really look at the policies, the procedures, and so on. Social engineering campaigns, we have experts in physical intrusion. So by conducting some scenarios to get really into the company physically, and to, for example, try to put USB keys into the PCs and the devices, to show that it's possible to steal data in the end. Most important thing, what is pen testing? It's a simulation of cyber attacks. So we will replicate all the hackers' methods and more to evaluate the security of your computer system. The objective, of course, is to highlight misconfigurations and vulnerabilities in your system. We could say it's similar to getting hacked before you actually or really get hacked. So to be ready to face these real attacks. We developed many internal tools, and we start off by scanning extensively, and then the most important part is the manual part, where we're going to try to get into the system by exploiting all these vulnerabilities. So types of external pen tests. The first one, and the one that we actually always recommend at the beginning, is the black box exercise. A black box exercise is an exercise where we don't know anything about the customer. The only thing we know is their name and their related URL or website. And we start off by collecting as much as information, of course, as possible. And for us, this is the closest to a real situation, because a hacker in general will only know, an external hacker will only know the name of the company and will go from there. Gray hat is that we get some information. For example, we get some user credentials, and then we see how far we can get as a legitimate user, let's say. White box, we have all the information, so that's more configuration checks, code reviewing, and so on. But this is an interesting slide. An inventor, when he yeah, when he invents something, he invents something with a clear purpose. For example, a Coca-Cola vending machine, genius idea. There is no human interaction needed anymore, but they didn't think about all other scenarios that could take place. For example, yeah, at the beginning when the Coca-Cola machines were launched, there was people clicking various times, and they were getting a lot of more Cokes and paying ones. Um, so a coin with a string attached, and then getting the coin back and trying again to get a Coke. And this is typically the kind of vulnerabilities, yeah, we don't always see or think about. And this is what we are going to lay bare in our tests. Basic Fit is also another example. They had a barcode on all their cards. And so everyone was just sending the picture of the card, and everyone could enter in their fitness. So they were yeah, getting, of course, a lot less lot of less members, but because everyone was using the same cards. And then they use like a black, they put a black strip on it, which didn't allow to copy anymore. And imagine IT systems, of course, have thousands of functions, which makes it even more harmful. And yeah, of course, the IT seems to have clear purposes, but they can be used in different ways, and there is a lot of vulnerabilities to all these functions. Why conducting extensive pen tests? That's the question, of course. Yeah, it's first of all, it's to yeah, lay bare the vulnerabilities, of course, to be able to see and to know what's there to be fixed, and to have a clear view on the maturity of your cybersecurity level. So going to test, for example, that your security programs are working. If you have been working or long time in a company, yeah, everything seems normal and everything seems good. But it's always good to have a third party looking once at your security solutions to be able to see where you can improve, let's say.
Yeah,
And of course,
if I can just say or repeat differently what you say, you can only protect the weaknesses if you know the weaknesses of a system. So your role is to protect the infrastructure of the end customer. So know is important. To know is important.
knowing
Actually.
your knowing your own weaknesses is the beginning of wisdom, let's say. Or yeah, and yeah, it's important to know them before malicious parties do, or other parties would exploit them. And overall, it became an essential part of any cyber security strategy. Today, it gives you you can go proactively look to improve your cybersecurity maturity level. Let's say after a pen test, and if you fix everything, you will go from, for example, 5 on 10 to 7 on 10. It will also allow you, of course, it will be an eye opener for management if you get into a system and you can show that data can be stolen. Of course, it could help you to unlock additional budgets to improve your cybersecurity or to put up better solutions into the IT infrastructure that you actually have today. Also, more and more certifications are going to ask for these kinds of pen tests and vulnerability assessments. For example, when you do the ISO 27001, they will ask for a vulnerability, at least a vulnerability assessment, but preferably a pen test. And also more and more, for example, in the pharma industry, the parties that work with pharma have to be pen tested or have to show that they are doing actively something for their cybersecurity posture. And the most important thing is, of course, creating an environment trust for all the employees and the stakeholders, allowing you to have a cyber secure ecosystem and grow on the long term. This is a question that we get often. It's the difference between a pen test and a vulnerability assessment. Yeah, the main difference is that in pen testing. There is a manual hands-on examination of the vulnerabilities. So we will really go, once we found vulnerabilities, we really go and try to get as far as we can in the system. And vulnerability scan is just, it's just a scan and that looks for known vulnerabilities. It's something, in my opinion, that has to be continuous. So at least once a quarter that you do a vulnerability scan. A pen test, I recommend to do it at least once a year. And there, the exploitation is the most important thing. Vulnerability scans have a lot of false positives. We don't actually know what can be done with a vulnerability. Pen testing is really going to show you what's critical and where we get with this kind of vulnerabilities. Who should conduct a pen test? This is also a question that we get often. Yeah, this depends, of course, on the hack value of the customer. The hack value is something we like to define as a correlation between the ease of hacking someone and the data they have, the sensitivity of the data they have. Data is is very valuable. So today we have all kinds of customers. We had a customer that was a company of one, but that hosted 10 websites, and we had companies of thousands that of course have also sensitive information. But it's important to know that it's not only the bigger companies that are targeted, because they are also often more difficult to target. To compare with real life robbers, robbers don't only rob banks, but they also will rob regular people, and because it's easier and maybe it will give access to other people or to other companies. So more and more small and medium-sized companies are becoming a target. We want to make pen testing also accessible to these companies, and are also often interconnected with bigger companies. So it could be the first step to hack a bigger company. Some of our references. We have worked in a lot of segments, at least 15. And we worked, for example, in banking sector, where we conducted external pen tests for smaller companies. In GDPR, we do, for example, the full 360 approach, where we're really going to define a cybersecurity improvement trajectory with our customer, and where we're going to conduct also testing on regular basis. Service platforms. We also have a lot of customers in pharma now, because with COVID crisis, they are being a target and actively targeted, and they have very sensitive information, of course. And it's also something that in this sector is becoming an essential need. To give you an idea how pen testing is today, how our methodology works. Our methodology is closely tied to the OWASP regulations. OWASP, that is let's say a reference in the pen testing world. We start off always with a discussion with our customer to define the scope in which we do a pre-analysis. A pre-analysis is first defining the needs, but also we have a small pre-audit document, which I will come back in the next slide. Once we know the scope, we will define different work streams, put up a timeline together with the customer, and before starting, of course, we do a kickoff meeting in which we look at all different things. We again define the scope, and then we start off with our tests. Pre-analysis is a little pre-audit report. We will come back also later on this one, on all the participants of the webinar will be entitled to get a free pre-analysis from Nuvias and Cresco. Basically, it's a auditing document with information on the internet, free circulation information, in which we talk about the technologies that the client uses. We see that basic web application security is applied. We see of the mainly spoofable. So let's think about SPF records, DMARC, and DKIM. And we analyze also hacker databases on the dark web to see if there are credentials or other information about the company online. And then we give a rating, which is of course based on limited information and has to be put in its context. But in general, it gives a good idea to scope a project, and it gives some tips and tricks that can help you immediately. After the preparation phase, we start the auditing. Reconnaissance is the first step in which we're going to, let's say, OSINT. We conduct OSINT, source intelligence, and for example, Google Dorking, in which we're going to gather as much as information as possible. Afterwards, we do a vulnerability assessment in which we define, classify, and prioritize our vulnerabilities. And then the most important part is yes, manual pen testing. We are going to see how far we can get into your systems and which vulnerabilities are critical. This is maybe interesting to know, the CVSS score. It's the score which we use, which is used across the whole, let's say, in the pen testing world. It's a score based on the attack vector, the attack complexity, and we will always give a vulnerability this score. So the whole reports will be also structured in a way that the critical vulnerabilities will be first, and afterwards the high, medium, low, and informational ones. So this is also important. It's what is used in let's say in the whole pen testing world. Reporting, also very important. Once we finished our pen tests, we make a full report. The customer expects recommendations, so I will give you an example also of this kind of report in the next slide. But yeah, we will gonna consolidate our findings. We have a technical report for really the IT people, and managerial reports for example, to get additional budgets, to get a clear overview of what's happening in your system. So we have 2 reports actually. And each report comes with advice and recommendations. Afterwards, with a technical working session, so we put up an action plan or a follow-up file in which the IT people can follow the remediation correctly. Also, we're going to help to remediate where necessary. This is in the report. As I said, you will get an overview of all vulnerabilities found with the criticality. You will also get an overview of recommendations, which is also easy to work with. Give you an idea how we present the vulnerability. Of course, it's severity, the type of vulnerability. We give a description. That is easy to read. That is also comprehensive for all IT people, let's say. We give a proof of concept to show where we got and which vulnerabilities we find. That's really a proof of concept. Afterwards, we give recommendations with some interesting references. It's maybe interesting to know is that 100% of our pen testing results presented at least 20 vulnerabilities. I'm not talking about only critical ones. It goes from critical to low, but yeah, so it's an eye opener, I think, to know that even companies that are really that trust the fact that they have a good cybersecurity, we also found vulnerabilities. 60% of them had at least one critical issue. So critical issues can lead to total compromise. 74% were due to security misconfigurations. So we like to first, let's say, work on the IT infrastructure that the customer has. So we will not recommend to change everything. We will firstly recommend, or we will talk about quick fixes, reconfigurations, and so on. So 74 is just misconfigurations. So easy to fix security issues, let's say. Last but not least is the follow-up. After an action plan and having a report, it's important that all these vulnerabilities get fixed or remediated. So what we do is really going to follow up with the customer, help them to fix the vulnerabilities, and do a recheck. This is sometimes done at once in a time. Once a vulnerability is solved, we're going to check again if it really has been solved. And then, of course, we have follow-up meetings and we see what's the additional needs of the customer.
Education.
Okay. So training, very important. Perfect. So protect part, as I said, begins all in the reporting and the action plans based on the assessments. We're going to help to put on countermeasures, set up quick fixes and so on with the customer, but we're also going to set up defenses, for example, with our partner UVS and Kaspersky. We also have cyber security experts and consultants that can work on missions like governance, policies, and so on. Education, 8 out of 10 people, cyber attacks are initiated by human error. So training is very important. Awareness training is, we focus on awareness training, which is given by ethical hackers. So they can give real-time examples, show how hackers think. And on the other side, we also give IT training, so ethical hacking training for to enable IT people to let's say to recognize vulnerabilities, to use basic hacking tools, and to improve, of course, their cybersecurity posture. We always start our awareness trainings or trainings with phishing campaigns. We do simulations of phishing campaigns, which always give quite shocking results. So, for example, for all the phishing campaigns we did this year, we had 46% of the people opening them, 56% that clicked on the link in the email from the 46, of course, 42% that entered their credentials so meaning 75% of people that clicked, and only 4% reported the email. In most cases, if there is not a 2FA in place, of course, this can lead to total compromise of the user's accounts, and in some cases also the company. Monitoring, this is more an incident response plan as a service. So we have, if something happens, we stay a point of expertise to our customers, and we go, we try to be there. We ensure to be there in 24 hours to be able to help them if something would happen. Of course, we monitor hacker databases on a daily basis. We report new vulnerabilities in regard to the client's infrastructure. So it's something continuous, and we try to build long-term relations with our customers. Now, the very important question for most of you is what does a penetration test cost? This depends on the IT infrastructure. We always going to do. That's why we do a pre-analysis. We look at, for example, for an external pen test, we will look at the IPs, the domains, the technologies used, and based on that, and based on averages, we will tell you how many man days we would need for that project. We respect our mandates, so it's really project based. And with the days that we give, you should have, let's say, a good global overview of what's happening in your systems. Now, sometimes we have customers that ask us, can you just see what a hacker could do in 5 days? On request, we can also do that. It's an example on 5 days, 10 days, or 15 days. But in general, we're going to advise to really go in depth and conduct an in-depth penetration test. We have subventions or subsidies in Belgium. So we're labeled by the Walloon region. We have partner in Vlaio, and we have consultants that can also do the missions for Brussels region. And these subventions are between 20 and 75% of the total cost of the project. So just to summarize, it's always a customized offer. We always show our test in hours. so you can really have a detailed view on what we will do. It's not only like, okay, we will do 5 man-days. We really show you what we do and how much time it costs.
Yeah, I
Now,
just
as I
wanted to say you will not have a bad surprise, because it's the first step is, thanks to the pre-analysis and the discussion with the end customer, is the framing of what will be done, what they request, and on that there is a quote that is done, and reaction on the quote. If it can be, the service can be bigger or smaller depending on the budget. So there is no bad surprise on this kind of exercise. Thank you, Yusuf.
Yes, indeed. We stick. It's always project based, so we stick to the days. We said in the beginning. Of course, if there is need for additional testing, it's always something we can discuss with the customer. But in general, you will have a clear view of the maturity of your systems after our tests. And on demand, we can, of course, depending on the budget, look at reducing these days. But to give you an idea, today you can on infrastructures, some infrastructures you can work for years to try to find something small to get in. But hackers will not always work for years to get in somewhere. So sometimes a couple of weeks are more than enough to show where you need to fix, what you need to fix and what you need to resolve. In the context of this webinar, we want to offer a half-day assignment and expertise for free, which is actually our pre-analysis. So you will get a small pre-audit, as I already explained, with the information about hackers databases, about basic information about web security, email security, and also an idea of let's say the scope, or how big your IT infrastructure actually is and which technologies it uses. Sometimes customers are quite surprised to see that there are still old websites up and so on, and of course this can be weak points. That's also why we say that, okay, pen testing is not an attack towards the IT. It's more a checkup. We are experts in what we do. We are ethical hackers. We only can do that. And yeah, when for example new devices are installed, new machines, new solutions, it's always good to see if the whole or the macro view, that everything is well secured after the installation of for example, these kinds of devices, etc. So thank you very much. This was shortly our presentation about pen testing. Now we're open, I think, I don't know if you have something to add, John.
Important, I think, with the offer you even if we know that even an IT company can have weaknesses. Do you propose this to the resellers attending, the partners attending, or one of their customer, to open some discussion with an end customer? Oops. Don't hear you. You're muted, I guess. Yusuf, you're muted.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Now, yes.
Perfect. So the idea is, yeah, it can be interesting for, of course, your resellers, because they also have an IT infrastructure, if it's important. But the idea is also, if there is a customer that is interested, we could also do it for one of their customers. So
okay,
it's something that we can discuss together. It depends on the infrastructure and on what the customer already did, let's say.
Okay. If there are partners interested, you can address the email is on the screen. My colleagues from sales, and we will do the link with Yusuf. But yes, thank you for this. It's quite a good idea to open doors. We have a question about presentation. I guess the presentation will be available, Yusuf?
Yes.
Okay. I see actually no other question. I have one coming, sorry. Question about the training that Cresco can give. First of all, we as Nuvias, we push the solution from Kaspersky, the ASAP platform. But yes, this is also a service that Cresco can do. The question, Yusuf, is this done by you, Cresco? And is this done by you or through an online platform? The training, is it face-to-face?
Yeah, our trainings are face-to-face, and it's given by ethical hackers, so it's not a platform.
Okay, thank you.
So it's really we of course now with the COVID period we did a lot of online webinars, but in general we prefer also to go really to give a seminar which is way more interactive, and we can show like hacking tools, we can do a live hacking and so on. So it's more organized as workshops also.
Okay. Question: what is the price of a pre-analysis?
The pre-analysis is offered for free in this context. Not in all cases, but in general, yes. It depends, of course, of a pre-analysis itself is a part of a project. But a pre-audit is something we offer to our customers to define a scope together. So I don't know if this was clear. So pre-audit phase, a small analysis, we do it in general, it's for free, depending also on the relationship with the customer. But in this case, for example, with Nuvias, it's a half day of expertise. So we do the pre-analysis, but we're also going to define together the steps they have to take without any, of course, strings attached. So it's a bit different than just a pre-audit.
Correct. In the case of a project that would be agreed with the end customer, all starts with a pre-analysis. So Cresco will do the analysis based on the public IP and deliver a report, and that's just also, as I said, the way to open the door and to show there are vulnerabilities.
Yes, indeed, and it gives you also it gives you something that is real, and based on that we can also easily scope the project.
Okay, we have no other questions in the box. So it's almost on time. I had considered 45 minutes. Anyway, you have our contact details. Me for the French speaking and Sabine for the Dutch speaking partners. Don't hesitate to contact us. We will do the link with Yusuf with Cresco. Also, I don't know, Yusuf, if we can talk about kind of agenda, because you have also your own activities. You have a lot of projects requests from companies. If we start with, if the partner has a request, in which time frame can he consider that the test will be done? Are we talking a month or weeks?
Today we're quite fully booked, but pre-analysis can be done. We are very proactive in if it comes to offers and pre-audits. We will do it quite in as fast as possible. Depends a bit on the planning. To plan the pen test, it will depend on For example, this month and next month we're completely full, but it doesn't influence the pre-audits or the offers.
Okay. Just to clarify, you do that kind of service for big companies, but also smaller companies.
Yes, indeed. Today, we get a lot of demands of bigger companies that are actively pen testing, and they're really asking for a pen test. And smaller, medium-sized companies are starting to get interested in the assessment part, but there we're going to, in general, offer a more global approach in which we're really going to help them to set up the countermeasures, to train them, and to be a continuous point of support for this kind of companies. But yes, we have today, it's our major business is small and medium-sized companies. Was that
Okay.
clear, John?
It was. And if yeah, people have other questions, you can call us or send an email. It will be probably easier to put
Yeah.
all people in contact. But don't hesitate. So
So
thanks a lot, Youssef.
our mission is to increase cybersecurity maturity level in Belgium and in Europe in general. So if we can help, even without being without being in a professional relationship, it's a pleasure for us to answer questions about ethical hacking. We're all ethical hackers and passionate about it. Thank you very much for your attention and your attendance to this webinar.
Thank you all. Have a nice day.
Have a nice day.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you very much.